Welcome chess lovers. In this video I am going to show you another game from my collection which I played some time ago. In this game I play against Sicilian dragon variation, although I did not have any plans for that because I opened the game with d4 planning to play Queen's Gambit, but my opponent had other plans. He responded with a crazy move which I had not seen, c5. Like this is played when we usually play e4 and they play c5 for Sicilian defense. My plan was to play c4 and Queen's Gambit, but after this move my opening knowledge of Queen's Gambit was over, and that is why the second move that I played was a mistake. Takes, I take, and these are just development moves. After this, I knew that he is going for the setup of Sicilian Dragon. Now I thought, okay, I will also go for the Sicilian Dragon variation, the responses that we usually play to the Sicilian Dragon. I develop my bishop and I castle, he castles, and I develop my last piece. He develops the knight, offering a knight trade, but to take is a mistake, especially when it helps your opponent have a better position. Instead of taking, I retreat the knight, and now my opponent develops his last piece. At this point, I just play the typical h3 move, which is in case we forget a back rank, our mighty king has an escape route. I offered him to give me a bishop pair. He does it, and now the opening is over. My opponent plays queen a5. At first, I thought maybe he is just developing the queen, but suddenly, thankfully, I saw that it is threatening to take my bishop on the other side of the board. So instead of retreating my bishop, I played this knight to d5, which is an inaccuracy. Inaccuracies do not matter unless you are stockfish. My idea was that maybe he becomes greedy, and because he is playing the moves very fast, all of the moves he played were less than 1 second. I thought maybe he will play e6 and I will grab this knight, but he is 1800 rating, so definitely he did not play that move, and he captures my knight. I capture it back, threatening the knight. He attacks my queen to e4, and now he plays queen b4, which has two threats. First, this pawn is hanging and this bishop is also hanging. I have to save the bishop. I had two ways to save it, either bring it here and save this pawn as well. The other way was bringing it to d3, which I chose, offering him to trade this knight, which was centralized, so which he does. Now this pawn is hanging. He couldn't capture it right away because after I play this move, I will also take this pawn back, and this pawn is also hanging. That is why he first saves it, and now this is a real threat. I try to save it with this move, which is a mistake because now I will be losing two pawns, because after queen captures b2, this is also hanging and this one is also hanging. So I thought, let's give him this pawn and I will take this pawn. I play rook b1 after he chose to take the a file pawn so that he can have this passer here. I grab his b pawn. Now this pawn is hanging and maybe he didn't see it. He could have saved it with this move, but he is after this pawn. He plays queen a3. I grab the pawn, and now he could have simply gone for capturing this, but first he plays this move. At this point, I had a wonderful idea, which was queen to b5. Now my idea was that I want to bring my queen here, and once my rook and my queen are here, there is always a threat of checkmate on the 7th rank. I also had one more idea which I will tell you in the next move, but my opponent became greedy and he took the pawn with the bishop, which is a big mistake. I had already thought about this great move, queen to e7, which is a really good move because now I am threatening two things. First of all, this pawn is hanging, which is the apparent threat. The main thing is that after I capture here, I am threatening this checkmate, and he cannot save it without bringing his rook here. If he brings his rook here, I can capture the rook and I will be a trade up, and also I will have this central pawn, and this will be winning for me. At this point, I thought my opponent has only one move to save it, which was this move, because if I capture here, he can capture here, and now there is no check here, and he can open this diagonal for his queen. Before this diagonal was blocked by my pawn, and I could capture this pawn, and he could not save it by playing this move. But he had another very amazing move which I had not seen during the game, and it was a very beautiful move. If he had played that, I might have blundered. The move was queen to a6. Now I can capture here and threaten the checkmate, but he has this brilliant queen sacrifice. Queen captures rook, because if I capture here, that is a checkmate, and if I don't capture and go here, then it is simply lost. Now he can save it here, and I do not have any attack, and I have simply lost a rook. Luckily he didn't see that. He thought maybe the only threat of this move is capturing this pawn. That is why he saved it with the bishop to e5, which is a mistake, because now not only I will be threatening bishop captures e6 and now he cannot bring the rook here, but also I am threatening this queen. This is when I play this brilliant bishop sacrifice, because you can capture the bishop, it is hanging, but this checkmate is coming. You cannot save it. You cannot play this move now because your queen is hanging and it is simply losing. But bro decided to save his queen and sack his king. Checkmate. Game over. Thanks for watching.